Do better, John Fetterman. If you work for John Fetterman, there's an intervention that needs to happen here. Very likely will come to a vote today is Tim Kaine, Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia. His joint resolution, a war powers resolution to claw back the powers that are granted the Congress by the Constitution in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, to get specific, that Congress solely, exclusively, only has the power to declare war. And again, if you don't think that dropping dozens of, or at least a dozen 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs on targets in a sovereign nation that did not attack us, if you don't think that's declaring war, I don't think you have a full understanding of what war is. The overarching thing here I want to talk about is some people who are against the resolution because they want to give Donald Trump the power to act unhinged. John Fetterman in this case. And look, I know a lot of hate. I'm trying to decide in my mind as I'm talking here, which I want to read, whether it be the Constitution or play this John Fetterman clip. I think I'll do the John Fetterman clip. So John Fetterman yesterday was asked about this war resolution, this war powers resolution from Senator Tim Kaine, his Democratic colleague. Remember, John Fetterman is, after all, a Democrat, former progressive, used to run as a progressive. I'm progressive, I'm progressive, I'm progressive. And I want to caution everybody. There's a lot of hate that comes his way. And I'm no fan of John Fetterman, his positions. But I feel bad for John Fetterman. Genuinely, I feel bad for him. I'm fearful for him. There's been a lot of reporting about his mental decline since his stroke. He obviously checked in for inpatient treatment because of severe clinical depression. And we know, people take their lives. Suicide is a very real threat. People who die by suicide who are inflicted by or with clinical depression. Very serious. And there has been a lot of reporting about people who are close to him in his circle that are also worried that he might take his own life because he's so depressed and is just at sea. He doesn't know what he believes anymore. They have to cut meetings short because he's screaming and yelling and frustrated. He's kind of like a child who can't emotionally regulate. And I feel bad for him. He's wrong. He shouldn't be there. He's betrayed the party. He's betrayed himself and his previously stated political ideologies. But I feel bad. So I'm not going to completely shit on the guy. He frustrates me a lot every time I see him talk, and this clip included. But I would just caution everybody to just dial it back just a little bit, because this might be not completely in his control. I'm not extricating him from all responsibility for his beliefs. He's still a United States senator. He still has a vote. He still has advisors around him who can tell him that he's going wrong. But, let's just offer a little bit of humanity to him. Here he is saying, I'm not going to vote for the war powers resolution because Donald Trump needs the power to be an authoritarian. Effectively, that's what he's saying. Watch this.
On the Kaine resolution, which will come up tomorrow night, we vote now.
Well, I'll say this. I love that man, and he's coming in from a very principled side. But I'm going to vote no on that, simply because I would never want to restrict any future president, Republican or Democrat, to do this kind of a military kind of exercise that was very successful.
This is a continued abdication of the role of a member of Congress. Article 1, Section 8 is very clear about what the powers of Congress are. There's a long laundry list of things that the Constitution grants solely to the Congress relative to power. This is what the Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution reads. The Congress shall have the power to lay. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just getting to the point here. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money, they have the power to borrow money on the credit of the United States. They have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, like tariffs. Also a congressional power, not an executive power, right? Just violating the Constitution up and down the line, Donald Trump is. And then they get down here to clause 11. The Congress shall have the power to declare war, to raise and support armies, to provide and maintain a navy. You see, our founders, our framers, the people who had two separate constitutional conventions, people who sat in hot rooms in the late 1700s determining what was going to be in the Constitution, what the reasons were. They debated it ad nauseum, these people. And it's not like everybody was on board with the way we landed. Alexander Hamilton was an opponent of this and eventually came around on the Constitution. There was a lot of debate back and forth. So there was a lot of thought that went into why the Congress should have certain powers and why the executive branch should have certain powers and why it's a separation of powers. They are co-equal branches, checks and balances. The whole thing, pretty brilliant when you look back at it. So it was by design that Congress, which also has the power of the purse, has the power to raise money, to borrow money, to appropriate money, that they would have the power to declare war. And then once they do, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States, and he or she, at the time of the writing, he would be able to execute on the orders of Congress to declare war. That's the way it is. So for John Fetterman to say, oh, no, I would never want to restrict the power of the president, it's either a fundamental misunderstanding of the clear language of the Constitution or something else. Again, let's try to be kind. It's very difficult when we feel betrayed. But this is let me read a couple paragraphs from this joint resolution from Tim Kaine that's going to be voted on today. Joint resolution to direct the removal of the United States Armed Forces from hostilities against the Islamic Republic of Iran that have not been authorized by Congress. Resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, Congress makes the following findings. 1, Congress has the sole power to declare war under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the United States Constitution. The president has a constitutional responsibility to take actions to defend the United States, its territories, possessions, citizens, service members, and diplomats from attack. The Congress has not yet declared war upon nor enacted a specific statutory authorization for use of military force against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then it goes on it's just 3 pages, very brief. I'll link to it below if you want to read the whole thing. I would advise you do. I think it's better for all of us to go right to the source on matters like this. I think it's informational. It's educational to understand how legislation is written, how resolutions are written, what the Constitution says. I use this as kind of a goofy prop to make fun of Republicans because they break it out all the time. But I respect and revere what's in this document. I took an oath. I swore a solemn vow. I affirmed my allegiance to ensure that this document is supported, is not destroyed by foreign forces or domestic forces. And so it bothers me as someone who served for years on active duty in the United States Marine Corps, having raised my right hand and swore to support and defend the Constitution. It bothers me when senators who also swore that same oath are failing. When the president who swore a similar oath is failing to support and defend the Constitution. Do better, John Fetterman. If you work for John Fetterman, there's an intervention that needs to happen here before something terrible happens. And look, I don't know him, never met him. Anyway, what do you think? Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Let's have a conversation about this. We can do it in the comments below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Hey, listen, I'm talking about this at the end of every video today. Brittany Page and I were on a podcast called The Dangerous Ones video here on YouTube. And we talk in more detail about the incident with the Trump supporter that threatened to rape and kill her and kill me. And a lot of you were unhappy with the details that we did not provide. We provide a little bit more in this episode, but also we go into more granular level information about why we decided what we decided. So if you're interested in that, one, go watch the episode, but two, make sure you subscribe to The Dangerous Ones. Good people doing hard work in independent media, and they could absolutely use your support. It's interesting to me that there's so many channels out there that deserve 1 million subscribers who have fewer than 20,000, and this is one of them. So you could really make a difference by signal boosting what they do and subscribing and supporting them. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.